rollover breathing to get the child to get air to start to roll over. How we're gonna do that is we're gonna put one hand on the head, one hand on the shoulder, and it's gonna pivot them, okay? Here's what we don't wanna do. What we don't wanna do is do it like this, okay? We want it to be natural. For them to naturally do it, their head needs to be down here in the water and they're just gonna roll over, okay? So it's almost like your hand is an axle and they're just gonna roll over your hand. You wanna make sure that your arm isn't cocked like this because then they will go to the side and they won't be able to do that naturally, okay? So here's how it's gonna look. 1, 2, 3. Okay, as they're coming towards you, one hand on the head, one hand on the shoulder, and roll over. Okay, try it one more time. Anytime as I'm backing up, 1, 2, 3, hand on the head, hand on the shoulder, and rolling over. That's rollover breathing.
Now I have some tips and tricks for you for rollover breathing. Rollover breathing is going to work best for you when you're moving, so make sure you keep moving backwards. Also with rollover breathing, you have the most control when you're right behind the child. Some common mistakes of instructors are trying to roll the child from a position to the side of you where you have a lot less control. So you want to make sure that when the child swims out to you, they're right in front of you and that they stay right in front of you. You don't want them to be rolling to the side of you as they go away from you. That way you can't assist them. The other thing is, when you know how long the child can hold their breath, you can then take that knowledge and make sure that you use it to your advantage. A child's going to begin to lift their head up when they're running out of air. So it's your job to make the rollover work successfully by getting their head and turning them before they lift it up. So let's say that our child can swim about 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Now on that 3 seconds, I'm going to make sure that I've kept their head down. At that point, their head's already trying to lift up. So I've got their head down and I'm supporting. For a new advanced minnow or a frog, you're going to need a support here the whole time as you're moving backwards, and then roll them back in. Now let's say you have a child that's almost doing the rollover by themselves. We're going to use the pushing technique this time so that we provide as little assistance as possible. You still want to make sure that you're spindling and putting your hands in the correct position. So they're swimming, we've got our spindle. Now instead of supporting, we're going to push, and we're going to let them swim again. So that's going to give them that opportunity to have that float in the middle where you're not supporting them the whole time. Be sure that you're tailoring this to the child's correct level. More assistance for a newer skill, and then less assistance for a child that's almost doing it on their own. Every different way that you do the skill should be in the direction of making the child do it on their own. Some common mistakes that parents make with rollover breathing are putting their hands in the wrong position. So you want to make sure that as parents are rolling their children, that they're not doing it from the shoulders where the head will come up, and that they're not doing it also from the bottom here where their head will come up, and put them in more of a sitting position as they roll. So always hand on the back of the head and shoulder,